Hello and welcome to Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by oddschecker, Sporting Index and Spreadex, as we look ahead to the weekend's football in the Premier League and decide if we think the eventual results of some spread betting markets will finish higher or lower than the midpoint. Doesn't that sound fun? I'm your host, George Ellick. I'm delighted to be joined. You right?
Yeah. Just think how much fun it's going to be.
Yeah. I'm delighted to be joined by Jack Wright and by Dan Worth.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Great. Enthralling game that I watched last night.
We had the pleasure, the absolute pleasure, of watching one of the greatest games of football of all time last night.
Yeah.
If you hate football.
Yeah.
It was Oxford United going to QPR and being beaten 2-0. Two poor sides, I would say.
Very poor.
But QPR are the better of the poor sides.
Just about. Yeah. I mean, I think they probably scored the only two chances that were available in the game.
Sandfield with a brace.
I know.
So you can always say that you saw a Sandfield brace.
I can, yeah.
Have you ever seen a Sandfield brace?
No, I've not. No, didn't even see it last night.
No. You turned it off after 20 minutes?
I did.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And for once, I don't think I can really complain about the lack of championship representation within the running order this week. Because if last night was an advert for it, everyone's turned off.
I sat through 90 minutes of Dirge to prep for Portsmouth's game this Friday night. It's not
Dirge like a metal band?
Not that Dirge. No, the Dirge of Portsmouth versus Norwich on Tuesday. Dirgy.
A lot of cards though.
There was plenty of tickets.
Tickets, please. Who's on the whistle?
The kitchen.
Yeah. You can't handle the heat.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right. Enough silliness. I think the Christmas spirit is obviously getting to us.
Talking of Christmas spirit, before we start, obviously, we're getting to that time of the year. So
you're always very good at this.
Just a little gift. Last year, I went for a Gabby Sarah mug.
Yeah.
I've not gone for any kind of temptation of fate this season.
Okay, yeah.
So that's for you.
Okay.
Hope you'll get to use them.
It's a bag from Zara.
Shh, no, like, other brands are available.
This isn't the BBC.
Oh, isn't it? Okay, yeah. Zara, great brand.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Superb.
By the time you get to play again, they should last you the first hole.
Nice. I love it. Look. Whoa. There you go. Can you see that?
Number 3, Oxford United.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mate, you're a natural for it. How you did that.
I'd love to do that.
Wouldn't it?
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
This time next year.
Yeah.
The only issue is I'd boycott the only tournament that probably is low profile enough for me to do it. So
right, fair dues. And I'm really confident on this. You talk about this person every single week, so I know you're going to love it.
Ruben Seller's mask?
I think it would be a player. That is brilliant.
Amazing. That is superb.
Yes.
That is. Where am I looking? Signed Sam Smith picture.
Wow, brilliant. And there's more. One quick.
Oh, there's one more, is there?
Yeah.
He's actually very local to me. They are actually very local to me. Okay. That's Sam Smith. I bloody love Sam Smith.
Yeah,
correct.
Keyring.
Correct.
Stuff. Cool.
Oh, mate, I appreciate it a lot.
What's going to happen now? He's going to leave in January.
He's definitely going to leave in January. But look, if there's an advert to stay at Reading, this is how much I love you. So please stick around, mate.
And Jack, I got you that.
Fantastic hire. Good.
Yeah.
Better than that one.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Right.
Good.
Enough silliness. Thank you very much, though.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
A great man. But we are now going to Spreadex, where we're looking at Nottingham Forest hosting Aston Villa. Saturday early kickoff this one. Total goals is the market. So the total goals scored in the game. The midpoint is 2.85, 2.75 to sell, 2.95 to buy. So higher here is 3 goals or more. Lower is 2 or fewer. 3, 2, 1.
It's like I've never been away.
Why?
No, you go first.
Why?
You justify yourself.
I'm slightly worried now because the line I've got here to finish my point on is to go under 3, I need to see some really strong evidence that there'll be fewer than 3 goals, and I couldn't find it. So there's my challenge to you. But I'm confused. I feel like there's going to be goals here. Right. 4-2 when these two sides last met. Okay.
Yeah, you and your historical stuff.
Yeah, the previous 3 before that have gone under this line. But aside from the 1-0 win over Ipswich, this line's landed in all bar 1 of Forest's last 7.
Yeah.
They're doing okay. Villa look to be sort of improving and have started scoring again. This line's landed in 10 of the 15 games Villa have featured in the Premier League this season. Villa rank quite highly for XG, 7th. So they're creating loads of chances. And as I said, they're scoring goals now. And I'm kind of just reverting back to some of the rationale I've had previously. If it's under 3, I'm probably going higher. Like, as I said, I need strong evidence to go under. Can you provide that for me or not?
Well, Jack, I'll let you go first.
Okay, thanks.
Right, mate. I know you feel strongly about this one.
Super strong. I just feel this is a really, really big opportunity for Forest they're up in 5th still, and this is a big opportunity for them to kind of consolidate that position. Villa wins recently. I think that they needed them. They had a pretty poor run, but they were both home games. Brentford, one of the worst, well, in fact, they played the worst 2 sides away from home in the league, Brentford and Southampton. Wasn't overly convincing in that win against Southampton. A massive result for them in midweek, going to Leipzig and winning 3-2. Yes, goals in that one, but I just feel that the kind of aftermath of a Champions League night for Villa tends to be a little bit of a hangover. They won their first one, then drawn 2, then lost 2. And those 2 they lost were away. And I know I'm talking about results rather than performances, but I think this one, for me, is an opportunity for Forest to kind of get their heels dug into the ground, go and get a foot in the game, and then go on and potentially win it by a low scoreline. Villa lost their last 3 on the spin away from home in the league. This was 2-0 last season. I can see a similar outcome this time. Only 2 defences better than Nottingham Forest, and only Liverpool are better at home defensively. And I just feel the makings of this game is Forest keeping it tight, looking to nick 1, possibly 2, and Villa just having a little bit of a hangover from midweek.
Yeah, I think that the midweek hangover is definitely a big part of my reasoning here, where for Villa to play a midweek in what was a massive game, and they'd have exerted a lot of energy within that, to then come back to the Premier League, have the early kick-off on Saturday against a really solid defensive side. I think that's the important part for me here, against the Forest side, who we know, it might have been 4-2 last time, but under Nuno, they're not a team that necessarily can concede lots of goals. They're not a team that necessarily create loads either. And, I get that if you look at Villa's away games for the most part of this season, they've covered the over 3 goals. Against kind of weaker teams, we've seen exactly 3 at West Ham. We've seen exactly 3 against Leicester. I'm not saying that Forest are one of the weaker teams, but purely in terms of, I don't think this will be particularly end-to-end, I wouldn't say. And a hangover off the back of a Champions League, their excerpts in midweek, I think, is fairly significant here. On to Brighton Palace. No love lost between these 2 teams. First match goal is the market we're going to be looking at here. So this is the time in which the first goal is scored. 34.5 is midpoint with spread X. So 33 to sell, 36 to buy. 3, 2, 1.
Ooh. I'm intrigued by that.
Well, I understand. I mean, initially my thinking with these is, you've got a team you've got 2 teams that don't like each other, right? So caginess is often the way these games play out. However, I think you've got 2 sides here that are basically attacking teams at their heart. Like, especially Brighton. Looking at Brighton, they've had BTTS as copped in their last 6 games. Defensively, not great, but from an attacking standpoint, obviously performing really well. I think Palace as well right now, I think they're improving. Their performance levels are improving fairly consistently. BTTS has copped in 3 of their last 4. So it just seems a game where attacking threat is going to be at the forefront for both of these teams. And even though I'm normally willing to, in rivalries where things can get very bitty early on, I think there's too much attacking talent, and also the way that Brighton for sure would approach this at home means it shouldn't be too low scoring. And it's, the line itself, I've got over the first half hour. Generally in Premier League games, you might be able to tell me what the average line is.
Yeah, I was going to say, to back you up, this is relatively high for this market. I mean, I think the usual, the average is like 31, 31.5.
There you go. So job done.
It's a few minutes over, but then.
So why have you gone against the
well,
the
if you look at the average time of goals, first goal scored from these 2 teams, you've got 46th minute for Brighton, not even in the first half, and 43rd minute for Palace. So they're both quite a chunk higher than this market, which is already kind of leaning towards a higher here. And I was looking at this game, and I know you've just said the BTTS stat, which, no doubt is correct, but I'm not ruling out this being 0-0.
Whoa, hello.
Which would be
if you get that right, that'll be a good call. That's a big price.
And it would be a huge winner here. 4 of the last 6 between these 2 have been a draw. Granted, none of them 0-0, but I think we could see another draw here. And I mean, if it's 0-0, that obviously makes up 90, which at 34.5 would be huge. So no goals here, please, and that would be lovely for me.
Jack?
Well, in keeping with the festive spirit that's just around the corner, 5 of 14 have gone higher. So you're stat-wise this season very much in
Thank
the
you.
right ballpark to go lower.
Thanks.
I've looked at it. I just feel that Palace are kind of trying to grind their way out of that problem they're in the relegation zone at the moment. I think they'll be wary of Brighton as well, not just because of the not so local rivalry, but the fact also that we know that Brighton are a big threat. So I just feel that they, again, a bit like I talked with Forest getting a foothold in the game, I think Palace will look to try and nullify Brighton for a bit, then look to try and maybe hit on the counter. So a tough one, no defeat, only one loss in 8 for Palace. Has sort of seen where they've managed to get a little bit of leeway between them and the relegation zone. I think they will look to keep it tight, look to keep it tough and keep Brighton at arm's length. Other than that, I've got nothing else. That's just how I see the game panning out, and therefore I'm expecting it to potentially go say into the latter stages of the first half at least until there's the breakthrough.
Interesting stuff. On then to our third game of the preview, and this I found very, very difficult.
Yes.
Can two teams lose a game?
We're going to find out. Possibly
Manchester
this
City
weekend.
hosting Manchester United in the Manchester Derby on Sunday. Two teams not in form. United obviously trying to bounce back, having sacked Eric Ten Hag, but have suffered a couple of poor results under the new manager, Ruben Amorim. And Manchester City, I mean, losing midweek to Juventus 2-0 away from home in the worst run of form surely that Pep Guardiola's ever overseen as a manager.
7 defeats in 10 now for him, which I think
unbelievable.
it took 100 and something games for them to lose the 7 previous to that. So
Yeah.
Mad.
Wow.
So the supremacy market is what we're looking at here. And City are favourites, unsurprisingly, given they're at home. They are just over a goal favourite. So 1.1 is the midpoint, meaning that higher is City to cover the -1 handicap. Lower is United to win, draw, or a 1-goal margin victory for City. This is the Sporting Index. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Has to be.
Daniel.
The reason why I sort of
You're
stopped it a
confident.
bit there is because
Has
I
to
was
be, you
like,
said.
after I admittedly did these markets before City played,
Yeah.
and I was like, surely that's come down a bit, maybe even below the over 1.
Yeah.
No, still the same. I think it's come in like marginally, but you still need City to win by 2 or more to be a winner here. Like what is going on? Like Pep looks like he's in pain. They're conceding goals for fun. Haaland's missing sitters. I don't know if you saw that last night because obviously you were at the game. They just look like a shell of a team. I can't believe they need to win by 2 or more here for this to make up. And trust me, I'm not sitting here suggesting that Man United are a good side right now, because they aren't. Like, where do you start with them? Like, it's 2 teams where there are so many question marks around both that I feel pretty uncomfortable taking a huge lean either side, which is why I've gone lower.
I really like the mental image of you doing a huge lean.
Yeah. Yeah, you covered off City have won just once in their last 10 league games, not league games, across all competitions, which is mental. And yeah, again, just to bring up, you need them to win by more than 1 goal here, which when you look at previous fixtures between these two sides, United always seem to score at the Etihad, particularly in the last 6. So if United score here, they need to win by 3 or more. In the current form they're in, I just don't see that happening. So yeah, it's going to have to be a lower.
Jack?
Yeah, I just can't be taking City to win by 2 or more goals against anyone really at the moment,
no.
Especially in the same league. I'm not quite sure what we're going to get from either side. Amorim's obviously tinkering with his lineup at the moment. They play tonight, Thursday night, so we're unaware of how that one pans out, but it's relatively, or fairly irrelevant really, to be fair, I think, to it. You look at the general concepts of it, and Haaland and Foden had a field day against Man United last season. Both scored 3 goals. They shared the 6 goals that City scored, but neither of those two are in anything like the form that we're used to seeing from them at this moment in time either. Both had away games in Europe, so there's not really any kind of advantage to be gained from that one either. The only thing that would concern me about potentially having a small side here with Manchester United is the fact that really passive performance they put in against Arsenal. Is Amorim going to go with a similar setup here and look to just really kind of practice his defence? I think that with what Manchester United got as far as their tools are concerned, they could really hit Man City and cause them problems in transition. So if they kind of go set up that way with those types of players, I think they can certainly get a positive result from it. or certainly cover this bet for us here. So a tentative one because we don't really know what to expect from either of these sides at the moment.
Yeah, for me, it's just having watched both of these teams fairly recently. The first half performance, actually, generally the defensive performance of United against Arsenal was pretty good. Like an open play, they restricted them to basically nothing. It was just a set piece game, and especially in the first half, they were really strong out of possession. And even after United went ahead, so went behind against Forest, there was a kind of a half an hour period after that where they were okay. Like in flashes, they're looking all right, and they look capable to me of punishing a team. They've come against a Forest side in good form. They've come up against an Arsenal side kind of back in good form, and they're here. They come up against a City side that aren't. And
it was individual errors against Forest, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And against that City performance against Liverpool is impossible in my mind to shake. Where they were so bad, like they were just completely outclassed by Liverpool that day. And again, it was individual errors, it was sloppiness in possession, like no real ability to retain possession, like everything you wouldn't expect from a Pep team. And I just, as you say, I'd find it very difficult to kind of punt for them to beat anyone by that margin right now. I'm fully in agreement. On to Spurs, Tottenham now. Goals forecast here. Wow, we were.
It's really high, isn't it?
3.9 the midpoint for total goals between Spurs and Tottenham.
That's big.
Tottenham obviously seeing a lot of goals in their last game against Chelsea. Southampton defensively not the best, you wouldn't think. But higher means you want 4 or more. Lower means
Spurs playing?
3 or fewer.
Who's Spurs playing?
Saints. What?
You said Spurs v Tottenham twice.
Did I?
Which would be
They'd still lose.
yeah, and there'd be goals in there.
I'm tired.
It's okay, mate. It's okay.
I went to bed at 11 last night,
Wow.
which for me is basically 2. Right. Southampton against Tottenham. Total goals 3.9. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Easy.
Yeah, come on.
Getting higher.
Yeah.
Lads, that's madness to me. Like, this is such a high line.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of justification, all I can say is I just don't think there's any way that 4 or more goals in this game is odds on. Like, I don't care. I don't care about who's playing. I don't care about Saints individual areas. I don't care about Ange and his. It's just numbers. Like, it cannot be more likely than not. There are 4 more goals in this game than under. Why am I wrong, Dan?
Have you seen the last 6 meetings between these two teams?
Go on, tell me about it.
3-3, 4-1, 3-2, 1-1.
It's about
2-1, 5-2.
What happened there?
Yeah, I know.
It's about time. About time.
Yeah, it's about time. But Southampton seem intent on giving away goals.
Yeah.
Like playing around the back with a squad that, like, let's be honest, are not good enough to do that in the Premier League.
I kind of take a bit. I don't know if that's true. Like, there are just different ways to concede goals. Like, if Saints played a different way, they'd probably be quite bad as well. But the individual errors wouldn't be as obvious, and people wouldn't criticise them. But like, it doesn't mean that what they're doing is inherently bad. I don't think, personally.
Yeah, I mean,
but Tim Sherwood disagrees, so you know.
Yeah. Well then, does that mean that I agree with Tim Sherwood?
Correct.
Yeah. What a place to be.
What's wrong with Tim?
Yeah, nothing, but I don't know. But Southampton just seem to be conceding loads of goals, right? 31 conceded already in the league, the second highest of any side. Question marks around the goalkeeper. It looks like Ramsdale might actually be back for it. If he's not, and they have to go for Lumley again, a goalkeeper that I've seen in the flesh multiple times.
What a player?
He's a sturdy shot stopper.
Yeah.
His ability.
I don't think he is.
Do you not?
Which Joe Lang are we talking about?
Well, he was for us, but that's also not in the Premier League.
No.
He's not a keeper that is overly astute with the ball at his feet, which is kind of the game he's being asked to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more mistakes here. Tottenham are a team that can put loads of pressure and will put loads of pressure on that back line, and will definitely make the most of those mistakes if they do happen. Okay, yeah, it's high. Goals.
Jack?
Yeah, I generally wouldn't be surprised to see 5, 6 or 7 goals in this game. I won't. And yeah, I was very positive with Chelsea a couple of weeks ago purely because of the makeup of their attack is going to set traps and cause problems for that Southampton defence and how they play. And I feel Tottenham have got the same artillery there in those forward areas, whilst also being somewhat susceptible defensively. They obviously play Rangers, massive game for them Thursday night, which is going to take an edge off there because they have to go relatively strong in that one. Southampton, of course, have the week off, whether that'll be beneficial or not. But let's not forget also that only Chelsea have scored more goals than Tottenham this season, despite Tottenham being 11th in the table. I did watch them against Bournemouth and they were woeful. So if they go anything like that, then I'm in trouble with this particular bet. But look, they bounced back from that. A couple of quick goals against Chelsea and showed that they can also unravel as they tend to in that game as well. Southampton, worst defensive process is not only one of the worst as far as goals conceded concerned, but actual expected goals and all the sides of it as well. They've had 26 shots, errors leading to shots this season, which is by far and away the worst in the league. 10 of those have led to goals as well, which is by far and away the worst in the league. And the history, as you mentioned, this was 3-3 last time they met here. 33 goals in the last 7 meetings, averaging 4.71. This has gone higher in 5 of those 7 as well, including the last 3. And when we look into more recent data this season, 3 of the last 4 Southampton games have seen this line hit higher, and 6 of the last 11 Spurs. So a fair high percentages of both their games, which they have been very prone to unravelling. And I just fancy this being an end-to-end kind of carnage affair. And it is a high line, but I can't see it being 0-1, 2 goals in it. I think we're looking at a 3 minimum and possibly a lot upside for me. I know.
Mean, I definitely get it. And I would say, I would agree with you that there is, I would have 5 as a shorter price than 1. If that makes sense. Like I get, like with the, but I just got to play the numbers.
Yeah. There's surely lots of opportunities here for you then, because all of the goals markets are obviously very high.
Yeah.
So your favourite goals cubed,
no,
etc.
but that goes against what I was just saying. I would hate to play goals cubed. So I agree there is a chance that it goes crazy.
What is the line?
It's over 100.
Oh my goodness.
93 to sell, 114 to buy on goals cubed.
114 to buy.
Goal minutes over
need
200.
5 goals and he made 11-point profit. Final game on this week's card is Bournemouth hosting West Ham. Total goal minutes here, 166.5 the midpoint, 159 to sell, 174 to buy.
Correct this
Total
time?
accumulative, yeah, I think so.
Maths on point.
Total accumulative minutes that goals are scored within the game is the market here. 166.5, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Go on, mate.
Yeah. I referred to that Spurs game earlier when talking about Spurs. I was stunned how many chances Bournemouth created and missed, which would go, well, they missed them, but they've created them, they're going to take them at some point in time, but they seem to keep missing them this season. And what was really apparent was the fact that they had really, really good opportunities, really good chances, and didn't even hit the target. They were going blazing over, blazing wide, snatching at chances, and a whole host of players were having them as well. So it was not just one person who was at fault there. I also watched West Ham against Wolves. Hard to be impressed by West Ham, how they're going about it. They do look disjointed. Bowen through the middle. Worked hard, obviously was their match winner in essence, but again it was a struggle for them and they're possibly fortunate to get that. Looking at the matches from last season, both ended 1-1 and they've already met this season in the League Cup, admittedly rotated sides and that, but a 1-0 performance there. How I see this one panning out, I think Bournemouth probably win it. I think they might get their noses in front in it and then keep West Ham at arm's length. That's simply how I see it being. Looking across the board, all Bournemouth's home games have gone under this line so far this season. 7 out of 7, 4 out of 7 for West Ham, so it's more of a split, but it's 11 out of 14 in total. And I just feel that Bournemouth will get the job done and not necessarily be a lot of goals in it because of how these sides are sort of playing at this moment in time. But a tentative one, admittedly, but lower.
Yeah, I just think this West Ham side at the moment, I said it last week, very different to how I pictured them. And even their game against Wolves, didn't quite cover, as I hoped it would last week, the over 3 line. But it was still really end-to-end, and there was so much goal-mouth action that didn't even result in goals. A couple of disallowed goals, a massive penalty shout. It feels like they are a team who are, scrapping, basically. Like Lopetegui's future is very much in doubt. There have been reports they've already agreed or been talking to Graham Potter about a new deal. And when things are chaotic, it feels to me like they never, either you roll over and which Bournemouth can definitely do, they just batter you, or you fight. And if you fight, that means it's going to go on late on. And the fact that West Ham Wolves developed into a game where all the action came late is massively surprising in my view for that. So, I'm overs here, and I specifically think that this is a game that if West Ham are 2-0 down with 20 to go, then it's Lopetegui's job on the line, and he's going to throw everything at trying to save it in the same way that we saw O'Neill do it last weekend, albeit didn't quite get over the line, but did yield late drama. So, yeah, I'm higher. Dan?
Yeah, that's very similar rationale to me. To be honest, the only stat that I've got to add is no team have scored more goals after the 76th minute in the Premier League this season than Bournemouth with 9. And obviously in recent times, there's been late goals for both sides. Bournemouth struck very late last weekend, obviously, to complete the comeback against Ipswich, and 3 second-half goals in the game that you mentioned, West Ham and Wolves. It's a medium line, right? 166.5 is very
line.
medium.
Yeah.
It's not higher nor lower.
Would you say you're a medium guy?
In Nando's, yeah,
Interesting.
for sure.
What do you reckon I am?
I don't want to insult. I feel like a lemon and herb.
Hot.
I didn't have you down.
That's all right, mate.
I didn't have you down. Same in the curry house.
Yeah, I like spicy food a lot.
Madras, more.
Lamb Madras, very good.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
My mouth's like watering.
Yeah.
My local curry place does a very good kind of special curry that I have, which is kind of like Madrasi lamb, like really nice, like tender lamb, spicy, tomatoey. Yeah, it's superb.
End of season party sorted. Coming to your curry house.
Yeah, fine. It's actually not too bad for all of us to get there. So
Yeah,
it's okay.
let's do it.
Right, where were we? That brings. Honestly, my mouth is watering.
Yeah.
What am I going to have for lunch? That brings the normal selections across the Premier League to a close on this week's High or Low. We've got the naps to come, but make sure if you haven't got a SpreadX or a Sporting Index account, click on the link in the show description. You can sign up there. There is a new customer offer, so check that out. T's and C's to apply, and remember that in spread betting, losses can exceed your initial deposit. Napkin.
Yeah. Reporting for
I
duty.
said napkin.
Ah.
Is that what you answered to? Napkin.
Because you clean up.
You should have got
Yeah.
the crown.
Oh, well, there's so many things you can buy on the Reddit
Right.
store.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
buy them a calculator, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, nice. Revisiting a market that I've had some success with this season, it's a sell of headed goal minutes in Wolves versus Ipswich at 28.5. There's not going to be any headed goals, so that's that. Ipswich are the only team in the Premier League this season yet to score from a header, and Wolves have scored just once.
That's good stats.
Both teams ranked towards the bottom for goals from set pieces. Wolves 18th with 2, Ipswich 16th with 3. Wolves have had the fewest corners in the league this season with just 44,
Wow.
which is
Pathetic.
fewer than 3 per game, which is really low. Ipswich not much better, ranked 13th with an average of 5 per game. I actually think when this landed last time it was Wolves in question. I could have checked that, but I didn't.
Fulham Wolves, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was a similar line that landed. Yeah, I just think two teams
It was, but it's 4-1, and you still avoided heads.
still avoided it. And I'm pretty confident we'll avoid it again here. So no headed goal minutes, or no headed goals actually, in Wolves versus Ipswich for me.
Jack, what's your nap?
Championship for me has to be stood out like a shining beacon. Sheffield United versus Plymouth. Plymouth total goal minutes. Basically, Sheffield United don't concede and Plymouth don't score. That's the kind of summary of that particular bet. You look at it, 8 consecutive home clean sheets now for Sheffield United. You think we're going to have to trot out the old catchphrase of the show. That's unsustainable. But if there's one team really they're going to come up against where it is sustainable, it's Plymouth. Simple as that. 3 goals scored in 10 away games. Even one of those was under this line, so they could score that and it would still give you a marginal profit. But another clean sheet for the Blades last night away at Millwall. Tough game for them. Soutar back after his suspension. I think it's big for them. Vinny Souza, best CDM in the league.
Very possibly, yeah.
Just that's a massive part, I think, of obviously the defence and the goalkeeper get plenty of praise for Sheffield United, but his screening of that part of the pitch is vital for them. So, and they said they're playing a Plymouth side here that are in trouble, especially away from home. The goals speak for themselves, but when you then dig into the detail, that they've got the worst expected goals in the league, home and away, which is just 14 across the season so far, which is under 4 as far as their away process is concerned. This is a nightmare game for them, and I'm going to have to sell Plymouth total goal minutes at 30.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm going to go to a different game in the Championship and I'm going to look at Bristol City against QPR and I'm going to buy Bristol City supremacy at 0.75. As we said, we were at the QPR game last night and it's one of those games where you look at the result and you're like, wow, 10 points from 4 games, QPR on fire. They just weren't very good last night. They came up against a terrible team and have kind of shortened a bit in the market off the back of that and off the back of their good run. Bristol City are just a very good side at home, very, very strong defensively. My only kind of concern is they maybe sometimes struggle to break down teams who are good out of possession, but I don't think QPR will cause them too many issues. And I think City should win this relatively easily. So with spread X, 0.75 is the supremacy line, and that's where I'm buying. 12:30 kick off that one on Saturday. Make sure you don't miss it. There we go.
Good work.
Cheers, lads.
Excellent, nice one.
We'll be back very soon with another higher or lower. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. As I say, if you don't have a Sporting Index or Spreadex account, make sure you sign up for one using the link in the show description. A new customer offer there. Losses can exceed your initial deposit. Check out oddschecker for your fixed odds betting needs. Make sure you also look at whoscored.com for all the stats research that you could possibly do to inform your spread bets over the course of the weekend. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, George.
See you guys very soon. Enjoy the football and please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.